Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode 6 of Ms. McLaughlin's Writes, a series where we write together online and sort of get to know ourselves a little bit through our writer's notebook. Today's episode is going to be a two-parter, and it's going to need some creative supplies, I think. So if you happen to have some markers or crayons or pencil crayons, or just a pencil, if you prefer to sketch or draw on a pencil, grab that. And if you want to grab a piece of blank paper, you can do that as well. I'll probably just continue to write to draw in my notebook. I don't mind the lines, and to be honest, they might help a little bit today. So if you need to, press pause now and grab those supplies. And while you're doing that, I also want to recommend a book that I've recently read or loved. And I'm going to share with you today All American Boys. And what I love about All American Boys is that it's a story told from two perspectives, one of which is a Black teenager named Rashad, who goes into a corner store to buy himself some snacks. And the other is a white teenager named Quinn, who happens to see Rashad exit the store and be physically assaulted by a police officer. And the police officer is a friend of Quinn's, or is Quinn's friend's older brother. So Quinn is trying to figure out what he sees and what has happened. And Rashad is trying to understand why he would be in his community and subject to this sort of violence for no reason at all. So a really amazing book. Pretty much anything by Jason Reynolds I would highly recommend. Same with Brendan Keeley. They're both fantastic writers. So put this on your to-read list. Highly recommend it. And let's jump into today's writing prompt. It's inspired by a picture book called The Map of Good Memories. And in this picture book, the young girl is forced to flee her hometown. And so as she's sort of packing up and getting ready to leave, she decides to create a map of her hometown and mark all of the places that contain important memories to her. And what we're going to do for our quick write today is to create a map of our neighborhood or another space or community that contains memories for you. So here's the picture book that inspired today's prompt. And here's the map that she constructs. So you can see that it contains lots of things around town that, are pretty common, things like parks and train stations. But there's also things that are really personal to her, like her school or the building where her dad meets, or the ice cream parlor in the park, or the park benches and the swings. And they're all sort of labeled. So what we're going to do together in our quick write, I'm going to give us 4 minutes today, and we can go back later after the post and fill in more in our quick write if we need to. But what we're going to do for today's quick write is we're going to do sketch. We're going to sketch our neighborhood. That's where these markers are going to come in handy. And that's where the paper is going to come in handy. Now, as I said in the prompt, it doesn't have to be your neighborhood. It can be maybe it can be your school, and you can mark some of your favorite places for memories. It could be your elementary school. It could be some place that you used to live that you think of as home, but now you live here. It's very, very open. So I think actually I'm not going to write about where I live now as an adult. I think I'm going to write about where I lived as a teenager. That's the neighborhood I'm going to sketch out and I'm going to draw. So let's put ourselves 5 minutes on the clock here, or 4 minutes on the clock. So there we go, 4 minutes. We're going to start now, and you're just gonna draw your neighborhood, draw some buildings, label things, add streets, and remember important places that formed memories for you. Add those onto your map. 1 minute left. So I just got a quick start. 4 minutes is just a quick start. I think that for me to finish this, I'm going to have to do probably another 10 or 15 minutes of sketching afterwards. And this, to be honest, might even just be a rough draft. I might just sketch down some ideas and then put everything together on a sort of a nicer map once I figure out the logistics of space and stuff because of scale and trying to get that all to make sense. So this is my quick sketch. This is the house I grew up in from age probably 8 to when I moved out at like 19. It's interesting to walk past this house now because when we lived there, it had 2 fairly small Christmas tree evergreens in the front. And those trees are, well, this one's only left, and it's huge. It's massive. It's almost as big as the house. But when we lived there, they were just a bit taller than a person. So I'm always reminded by like nature and the scale of nature and how quickly it grows. I always thought that our house looked like it only had one eye because there's supposed to be a window here. And when we got new siding, the window goes into the bathroom shower and there's no point in seeing them there. So it's been covered over with siding. And I always thought the house looked like it was like one-eyed, like it was missing a window because it was. And for some reason, we had a dog when I grew up, but for some reason I drew the neighbor's dog. Our neighbors for the first little while we lived there were a lovely old couple. And they had a dog named Buttons, who was very, very old as well and didn't have the best eyesight and didn't have the best hearing. And would kind of like wander around the yard, but for some reason always knew when we were there and would come over and say hello. We lived on a super, super, super busy road. So I added the road in there, and then I added neighbors because arrows because school was that way, as was my grandparents' house. And we lived across the street from a 7-Eleven. And that was back in the days when like rules around cigarettes were much more relaxed, and my mom would give me a note and like a $10 bill, and I would go and buy cigarettes for her. Like, could you imagine being a kid with a note from your parents like, here, allow my children to buy cigarettes for me? But that's the way it was back then, you know. Seatbelt rules, relax. You could send a note with your kids to the corner store and they could buy cigarettes for you. Anyways, these are the memories I have. So as you can see, there's just a few things. This is my street, and it's not even the entire street. So I think that this is going to take a little bit more time. So I would highly recommend, before you move on to the next prompt, that you get this part of your writing done, where you sketch out as much as you can of your neighborhood or a space that's important to you. That was episode 6 of Ms. McLaughlin Writes, where we dive into the map of good memories and mapping out our memories and a favorite neighborhood or space to us. If you want to see more prompts from Ms. McLaughlin Writes, I will leave a link to the playlist down in the description. And if you want to see the prompts themselves, encourage you to go over to msmclaughlin.com and see all the prompts that came before this. Love to see what you guys are creating and making. So if you want to share them with me, I'm on Twitter and Instagram as @MsMcLaughlin. So that's it for today's episode. I hope you have an awesome day filled with lots of reading and writing, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.